What if Apple's biggest story this year is not actually the iPhone 18 Pro itself? What if the real story is hidden in the schedule surrounding it? While everyone else is studying leaked designs, camera upgrades, and flashy new features, the smartest thing to examine may be Apple's calendar. Leave a comment and tell me whether you're more excited about the iPhone 18 Pro or the wider lineup Apple could launch around it. Because Apple does not simply release one product and move on. It creates carefully timed waves of excitement. And if this leaked roadmap is even remotely accurate, we could be looking at a coordinated strategy that stretches across several years and reaches far beyond a single iPhone. Let's take a step back and look at what this leak may really be showing us, because the individual product names are not nearly as important as the pattern behind them. Apple plans its launches in calculated stages. The iPhone usually arrives first, the software follows, and then another wave of Macs, accessories, and supporting products appears to pull customers even deeper into the ecosystem. Nothing about this process feels accidental because Apple's release cycle is built around structure, momentum, and control. The iPhone 18 Pro may be the obvious attention grabber, but according to the roadmap, the fall keynote could be only the first domino to fall. Once that event takes place, additional hardware may arrive before the end of the year, and then the lineup could expand even further throughout 2027. That broader rollout is where Apple's real strategy becomes much more interesting. In fact, once you understand a company's habits, you can often predict an Apple keynote date with surprising accuracy. Apple may appear secretive and unpredictable from the outside, but underneath the polished presentations and dramatic invitations, the company follows a familiar ritual. Apple loves consistency, and once you begin studying its launch history, much of the mystery disappears. Go back to the beginning, and the pattern becomes clear. The original iPhone was introduced in January 2007, before officially reaching customers in June. The iPhone 3G, iPhone 3GS, and iPhone 4 then continued that early summer release rhythm, creating a straightforward June cycle. Everything changed with the iPhone 4S, which Apple unveiled on October 4th, 2011. That launch marked the moment when the company moved its flagship iPhone schedule away from summer and into the fall, where it has remained ever since. Starting in 2012, Apple's major iPhone keynote has taken place during the first half of September in almost every year. The company's preferred window is remarkably narrow, usually falling somewhere between September 7th and September 14th. The most notable disruption came in 2020, when global conditions forced Apple to hold its event on September 15th. Even then, the keynote landed only one day beyond its traditional window. That is not a company choosing dates at random. It is a company operating with extraordinary discipline. Another major clue is Labor Day in the United States, which always falls on the first Monday of September, between September 1st and September 7th. Apple does not normally schedule its keynote before Labor Day, and it rarely chooses the following day either. That Tuesday is often needed for travel, preparation, rehearsals, and final setup. Apple may run one of the most demanding product operations in the world, but it is also highly practical when organizing a global event. Then there is the issue of competition for attention. Early September is already packed with major technology announcements, including IFA in Berlin and other industry events. Apple has no interest in sharing the spotlight with rival brands. It wants complete control of the news cycle, with journalists, creators, customers, and investors focused on one stage, one presentation, and one Apple logo. That is why the timing of the event is almost as important as the products revealed during it. Look even deeper, and another pattern appears. Apple has historically favored Tuesdays, and the company often schedules its keynote roughly 8 days after Labor Day. This timing has appeared repeatedly across the past decade, which suggests it is not a coincidence but a deliberate preference. However, one smaller detail can make the prediction even more precise. When Labor Day falls on September 7th, Apple has previously selected Wednesday, September 9th, for its keynote. That exact calendar arrangement has appeared before, producing the same placement and almost the same launch rhythm. So when predictions suggest Apple could suddenly choose a completely unexpected date without any clear reason, the idea does not fit the company's behavior. Apple rarely breaks an established pattern unless outside pressure forces it to do so. Serious supply chain delays, global disruptions, production problems, or other major complications could push the company away from its normal schedule. But without that kind of pressure, Apple generally stays loyal to habit. Based on those habits, an event in early September remains the most logical outcome. Once that keynote window is identified, the rest of the launch timeline becomes much easier to map out. Apple typically announces the new iPhones early in the week, opens pre-orders on Friday, and begins retail availability the following Friday. It is an efficient and highly refined formula. The keynote creates immediate excitement. The pre-order period turns that excitement into commitments, and the official release converts momentum into sales within a matter of days. Apple has used this rhythm throughout the modern iPhone era because it keeps the public conversation moving quickly without allowing interest to fade. But the iPhone is only the first part of the larger plan. The leaked roadmap points toward additional products arriving afterward, potentially including a new wave of Macs before the year comes to an end. Those computers could introduce upgraded chips, refreshed designs, or both. Apple frequently uses the iPhone keynote to establish the central message for its entire fall season, whether that message is artificial intelligence, efficiency, performance, connectivity, or deeper integration across devices. It can then reinforce the same story with updated Macs and accessories that extend those improvements into the rest of the ecosystem. This strategy allows Apple to maintain momentum for months instead of concentrating all of its attention into a single week. Customers who are not ready to buy an iPhone may become interested in a Mac, an Apple Watch, new AirPods, or another device that supports the same ecosystem experience. That is why the iPhone 18 Pro should not be viewed only as a new smartphone. It could be the trigger that starts an entire sequence of releases. The roadmap suggests Apple may be arranging its products so that excitement continues from the September keynote to the holiday season, and then into 2027. If the following year introduces even more models, configurations, and price levels, it would indicate that Apple is increasing segmentation across its lineup. More models would give customers more entry points, more upgrade paths, and more opportunities to remain within the same brand regardless of their budget or priorities. Apple would not need every customer buy the most expensive device because it could offer several carefully positioned options, each designed to lead users toward another part of the ecosystem. That brings us to the most important conclusion. Do not focus only on the leaked renders because the calendar may reveal far more about Apple's strategy than any individual design detail. Apple's greatest advantage is not simply secrecy. It is consistency. When the reported roadmap is placed beside the company's long-standing September habits, the likely plan begins to look much clearer. A tightly controlled keynote window, pre-orders opening within days, new software arriving around the launch period, and another hardware wave appearing before the holiday shopping season. This is not a collection of unrelated announcements. It is carefully planned choreography designed to keep Apple at the center of the technology conversation for months. And if the company follows its established pattern once again, the next several months could become one of the busiest periods the Apple ecosystem has seen in years. Subscribe to the channel, share this video, turn on the notification bell, and leave your best prediction about Apple's upcoming launch strategy in the comments below. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.